Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So we've got a lot of topics to get into today, and we're going to get started right here with somewhat of a spoiler warning for Tears of the Kingdom. Now this is officially sanctioned spoilers from Nintendo themselves, but if you don't want to know about this, then just skip right on past this section and be surprised when the game comes out Friday. But here are the spoilers. We had a Ask the Developer get released, and this has been a multi-part series that Nintendo's been doing leading up to the release of Tears of the Kingdom. And in the segment that was released today, we had a question about dungeons. It says, we've only discussed the skies, but this title has its dungeons too, right? And they have several people from Nintendo here answering, and the first one says, yes, we haven't talked about dungeons yet. They've changed from the previous game. For example, there is a dungeon that connects directly from Hyrule's surface. If you dive from the sky straight into the dungeon, you'll trigger an event. We think this will be a new experience that wasn't possible in the previous game. And the Ask the Developer segment here talks a lot about how the previous game was pretty much limited by the Wii U, and now they're able to do so much more now with Tears of the Kingdom being directed for just the Switch. And the second response here, we've made dungeons unique to their retrospective environments, so we think that you'll be able to enjoy the wide variety of regional characteristics. So it sounds like each dungeon kind of has its own unique look and feel, kind of like most of the dungeons have had in previous Zelda games. And then the final response here, making a wide variety was pretty challenging. The 4 divine beasts were the dungeons in the last game, and they shared similar designs. This time the dungeons are huge and each carry their own regional look and feel, just like traditional Legend of Zelda games. We think they will provide a satisfying challenge for players. They were certainly a challenge to develop. So this answers the question that a lot of people have been wondering, will there be dungeons in Tears of the Kingdom? Absolutely. Do we know how many just yet? Nothing official coming from Nintendo on that. So I'm definitely looking forward to Tears of the Kingdom, and I'm going to start playing it basically at midnight. I went ahead and took the day off of work the next day so I can stay up late and play as much of it as I can until I pass out. Next, we've got a little bit of an update to the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard. We have this from Reuters, EU decision clearing, $69 billion Microsoft Activision deal expected May 15th, sources say. So it's looking like the EU will clear this deal, and from the article it says EU antitrust regulators are set to approve Microsoft Corp's $69 billion acquisition of Activision next week, with May 15th as the likeliest date, people familiar with the matter said. Now, I think many were expecting this deal to get approved by the EU, especially after the deals that Microsoft made with various cloud streaming platforms like Nvidia, Boostroid, and Ubitus. But it has been about 3 weeks since the CMA in the UK blocked the deal, so I'm not sure how much this EU decision really matters, but should an appeal to the CMA go through, this would be one less hurdle for Microsoft to cross. Next, this is the time of year where we're getting some of the financial information from the previous fiscal year from various companies, and the latest one here is from Capcom. And I'm not going to go through it in as much detail as I did say with Nintendo, but there were a few things I wanted to highlight here. One of the biggest things coming out of this is that their sales volume reached record high due primarily to growth of digital, overseas, and catalog sales. And you can see this chart here they had for their fiscal year 2022 top sales. And you can see Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak sold almost 5.5 million units, Resident Evil 4, 3 3/4 million. And lifetime sales for the base Monster Hunter Rise is over 12 million. And then we have Resident Evil 2 with lifetime sales almost at 12 million, and then Resident Evil 3 almost reaching lifetime sales of 7 million. And then finally, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard managed to sell over 12 million units lifetime. Now, Capcom sold 41.7 million games for this past fiscal year. And this is a 12-minute unit increase from the previous year, but it's also the largest year-on-year sales growth in the company's history. And I think the future is looking pretty good for Capcom. They said they aim to sell 10 million copies of Street Fighter VI, and they also signed a production deal for a new live-action Street Fighter movie as well as a television series. So while Capcom was not looking too great maybe 10 years ago, they've definitely turned the ship around and seem to be heading in the right direction. And finally, we have the latest PlayStation Plus Extra, Premium, and Classics games announced coming to the service. Now, all these games will be available on Tuesday, May 16th, and we'll start with those Extra and Premium tier games. We have Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart for the PS5, Humanity for the PS4 and PS5, Watch Dogs Legions for PS4 and PS5, Dishonored 2, and Dishonored Death of the Outsider, both for PS4. And then we have Sakuna for the PlayStation 4, and then we have several Tomb Raider games. We have Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, Rise of the Tomb Raider 20th Year Celebration, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. All these are PS4 games. And then we have Bus Simulator 21, Next Stop for PS4 and PS5, The Evil Within 2 for PS4, Wolfenstein Youngblood for PS4, Thymiza, I guess I'm pronouncing that right, for the PS5, and then we have Rain World for PS4, Lake for PS4 and PS5, then Conan Exiles for PS4, Rune Factory 4 Special for PS4, and then Story of Seasons Friends of Mineral Town for PS4, and then finally Soundfall for PS4 and PS5. So this is a huge list of games here and quite a few good ones. And let's take a look now at the classic list. We have Siphon Filter, Logan Shadow, Blade Dancer, Lineage of Light, Pursuit of Force, and all of these games I just mentioned come from the PSP versions. And then finally, Ghostbusters, the video game remastered, and I believe this is the PS3 version that got remastered for the PS4. So we got several PSP games and then basically a PS4 game that was a remaster, still no PlayStation 2 games. And correct me if I'm wrong, I didn't play Siphon Filter, but I believe it was out on the PlayStation 2, and I think from what I read it came out after the PSP version. So I would assume that version would be the better of the two. So it's kind of interesting that they still didn't put a PlayStation 2 native game out in their classics. And that's all we have for today. Did anything we cover catch your attention? Make sure to leave a comment below and let us know. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't yet. Only about 10% of the people who watch my videos are actually subscribed, so it would help the channel out quite a bit. I want to thank you for watching and be good.